and Electronics Engineering, Panimalar Institute of Technology. I welcome you all for the third phase of AICT sponsored short term training program on electrical vehicle technology. Today we are having the eminent speaker Dr. Dharma Prakash, Professor, Department of Electrical and Electronics Engineering, Panimalar Institute of Technology. We are going to take a session on electrical drives for electrical vehicles. Dr. Dharma Prakash is having around 20 years of experience in teaching for the undergraduate and postgraduate students in electrical and electronics engineering specialization. He is having around 20 years of experience in various positions in the academic and administrative positions. More than 12 years of experience in the research in the field of power electronics and drives. More than 15 years of experience in NBA and NAC process, proficient in prioritizing and completing tasks in a timely manner. And he is highly competent in assessing and evaluating the students' performance and implementing the need based plan to address the weaker areas. He did his undergraduate in electrical and electronics engineering and post graduation in power electronics and drive. He did PhD in sliding mode controller for the direct torque control of multi-level inverter fed induction motor. He published more than 10 papers in the national and international journals and presented more than 15 papers in the national and international conferences. With this few words of introduction, I request Dr. Dharma Prakash, Professor, Panimalar Institute of Technology, to take over the session. Please, sir.
ஓகே. இப்ப கேக்குதா மேடம்? ஓகே, ஓகே.
கேக்குது சார், கேக்குது சார்.
ஓகே, ஓகே. தேங்க் யூ. Actually, I didn't note that it is muted. I already started the session. Sorry for the inconvenience. Please, all of you welcome for this STTP on this electrical vehicle technology organized by Panimalar Institute of Technology, Department of Electrical and Electronics Engineering. In this session, you are going to discuss about the electrical missions for electrical vehicles. Electrical vehicles, okay. So why it is called as electrical vehicles? Actually, it depends upon the prime mover which is used in the vehicle. We can classify the vehicles as electrical vehicles or mechanical vehicles. Okay. So here the electrical motor is used as the prime mover in this electrical vehicle. That is, the function of the prime mover is to convert a type of energy into mechanical energy. Okay. So as we know that the electrical motors are converting the electrical energy into mechanical energy. So in terms of, we can generate the torque and speed. Okay. So by varying the torque and speed, we can drive the vehicle. So already we are familiar with various types of electrical machines. Now we are going to see the some of the types of electrical machines which can be used for electrical vehicles. Okay. So what is the need for going for electrical vehicles? Here, that is the main objective of your moving into the electrical vehicle is to reduce the greenhouse gases which are emitted from the gasoline vehicles. Okay. So in the gasoline vehicles, a huge amount of greenhouse gases are emitted. So that should be, we have to limit to avoid the global warming. So it is entirely depends upon this climate condition and other environmental problem. Okay. So here, even if we are using the electrical vehicles, it can reduce the greenhouse gases. But for this electrical vehicles, we have to supply the electricity. So in generation of electricity, it is once again going to generate the greenhouse gases. But it can be avoided by using the renewable energy sources like solar energy and wind energy. So it can be generated as a distributed manner. So wherever we need this electricity for electrical vehicle, that can be generated in distributed manner by using the solar energy and wind energy. Even apart from this, we can also design the fuel cells and other things for the power requirement of the electrical vehicles. That is another topic which is involved in this. So now we will move into this electrical machines. Okay. So as we know that basically the electrical machines are classified into AC machines and DC machines. So if we are using the AC machine, that supply should be AC. Okay, supply should be AC. As we know that we cannot carry the AC in the mobile application. Okay. So here in electric vehicle application, we cannot store this AC and carry this AC supply for the AC motors. Okay. So what we are doing, always we are using the batteries or other storage devices for carrying the electrical power. So it is the DC power only. So when we are using the AC motor, that DC power should be converted into AC by using some solid state devices, solid state converters, and it can be supplied to the motor. So when we are using this electrical motors in electrical vehicles, there is a need for a power conversion technique. So we need the power converters. Okay. Even if we are having the DC motors, if we are using the DC motors, it also requires the DC converters. That is, we have to provide the variable DC for this DC motor. So anyhow, we need the power conversion technique in this electrical vehicles. It is one of the important thing. Then only we can control the mechanical power as per our requirement. Okay. So here this picture shows different types of motors which are used in the various types of that is automobile sector. That is Tesla motors and BMW, Chevrolet, Toyota, Audi, Nissan. Like this, these are the motors which are used in the various automobile cars. Okay. So now we will see different types of motors. Okay. So here it is the basic block diagram of the electric vehicle. So here this motor shaft is connected through a transmission mechanism with the wheels of the electric vehicle. So here this motor is controlled through a power electronic circuit, which I already told the power converter is required here. So based on the requirement, the motor controller will control the power electronic circuit. The power is fed from the battery. Okay. And the battery management unit is also there to control the battery power. Okay. So here, depends upon the motor, we have to choose the power electronic converter. Okay, the power electronic converter, various types of power electronic converter, I think already another faculty may taken this session. Now we are only limiting this to this motor, electrical motors. Okay, so the different types of electrical motors that are used in electrical vehicles are basically the DC motor. It can be also used in the electrical vehicles. Actually, the first electrical vehicle is developed by using the DC series motor only. Still, in some companies, they are using the DC series motor in electrical vehicles. And apart from this DC motors, the induction motor, brushless DC motor, permanent magnet synchronous motor, interior permanent magnet motors, and permanent magnet switched reluctance motors. These are the motors which are majorly used in the electrical vehicles. Yeah, we know that DC motors are having various disadvantages due to its construction. That is basically due to carbon brushes and the commutators. It is increasing the maintenance cost and the total weight of the motor like this. Later we are going to discuss that thing also. And we know that the induction motors are having a lot of advantages compared with the DC motors, so that we are moving into the induction motor, which are used in the electrical vehicles. Nowadays, the special type of motors, that is BLDC motor, PMSM, and IPM motors, and then switched reluctance motors. These are the special motors are used in the electrical vehicles. Actually, nowadays, the cost of these special motors are drastically reduced, so that they are moving to use in the electrical vehicles. Actually, before 10 or 20 years, the cost of these special machines are very high, so that the electrical vehicle manufacturers are not using this type of motors. They are using the induction motor. Now, due to the cost reduction, due to mass production of these motors, now they are using in this electrical vehicle applications. Okay. So now we are going to see some of the control methods related to this motors. Okay. So first we will see this motors. The induction motors, generally it is used in the two-wheelers and the four-wheelers. Generally it is not used in the, that is buses, trucks, like this heavy loaded machines. Vehicles, we are not using the induction machines. Generally it is used in the two-wheelers and the four-wheelers. Even the Tesla model, it is used, it is using the induction motor. And BLDC motors, generally it is used in the lightweight two-wheelers and three-wheelers. Okay. And the permanent magnet synchronous motors, these are used for high performance electric motorcycles and electric cars and electric buses. So buses and trucks also, they are using the permanent magnet synchronous motor. And this IPM motors is also used in the motorcycles. And the permanent magnet switched reluctance motors, that is this SR motors are used in the Tesla vehicles. Okay. In cars, even in the buses also they are using the SRM motors. So the main difference between the induction machine and these special machines are, these are always used with the electronic commutators. So now we are going to discuss about this brushed DC motor, brushless DC motor, and permanent magnet synchronous motor, three-phase AC induction motor, and switched reluctance motors. So mainly we are going to discuss about this brushed DC motor and induction motor, and some of the methods used in the brushless DC motor and permanent magnet synchronous motor, switched reluctance motor. So the brushed DC motors, our discussion is limited to this paper which is published by these authors, that is the brushed DC motor drives for industrial and automobile applications. with emphasis on control technique, a comprehensive review. So here we are going to discuss about this first DC motors used for automobile application. Okay. So here when we are considering the electrical vehicles, we have to operate this electrical vehicles in all these four quadrants. Okay. So in normal operation, the motor is going to move in forward direction. So here it have to produce the forward rotation and forward torque. Okay. And in the range, that is when we want to reverse the, that is take the reverse of the vehicle, move the vehicle in the reverse direction, we have to go into the second quadrant operation. So in this, we can also provide the regenerative braking operation. Okay. And the third one is reverse motoring operation. So here it is the entirely reverse direction if you want to go. We have to use this third quadrant operation. And this braking, fourth quadrant braking operation also applicable. So here this all four quadrant operation is required in the electrical vehicles. So we can use this DC motor for this operation. How we can do it? We can see now. So normally we know that the control of DC motor is split into two things. That is one from the armature side and another from field side. So as we know that the DC motors are classified into self-excited DC motor and separately excited DC motor. In case of separately excited DC motor, we are having the field is supplied from the separate source and the armature is supplied from the separate source. So easily we can do the control. But most of the cases in electrical vehicles, we are going with the self-excited motors. So here we are using the series motor. Most of the case we are using the series motor, but we will generally see all the control methods of the DC motor for all the common methods. Okay. So here it can be classified into armature side control and the field side control. So armature side, we know that the relation between the speed and the electrical parameter is the voltage. Okay, by varying the armature voltage, we can vary the speed. So how much voltage we can vary? We can vary the voltage from 0 to maximum the rated voltage. Up to that only we can do the variation in the armature voltage. So we cannot increase the voltage beyond the rated value. So that at the rated voltage, the motor can run at the rated speed. The motor can run at the rated speed. So that we can use the armature side, armature voltage control for controlling the motor speed up to rated speed, 0 speed to rated speed. So anyway, we are having some range between this rated speed. Suppose if you want to run the motor above the rated speed, we can go with the armature, that is field side. Here it is called as field weakening method because the field flux is reduced by varying the field current. By varying the field current, by decreasing the field current, the field flux will be weakened so that the speed can be increased beyond the rated speed. Okay, so it depends upon our requirement. We can apply the armature side control or field side control. If we are having a separately excited DC motor or a shunt motor, we can easily apply these two methods simultaneously. But we are having the series motor, there is a special arrangement is required for doing the armature control and field control. Okay. So here, when we are using the power converter for controlling the power which is given to the DC motor, it can be classified into controlled rectifier fed DC motor drive and chopper fed DC motor drive. So when we can go with the controlled rectifier fed DC motor drive, when the available supply is AC, then we can go with the controlled rectifier fed DC motor drive. Okay, usually in electrical vehicle application, we are having the battery supply. So obviously the supply given is DC. Generally, controlled rectifier fed DC motor drives we are not going to use in the electrical vehicles. Anyhow, but in some mobile applications we may use this. So simply we will see some introductory level controlled rectifier fed DC motor drives also, and then we will see the chopper fed DC motor drives. So it is a basic general closed loop control rectifier DC motor drive. So here you can see this, for easy understanding, we are taking the separately excited DC motor. So it is a DC motor. This armature of this DC motor is controlled through this controlled rectifier. So here it is the three-phase or single-phase AC supply can be taken, and this rectifier is used to convert this AC into DC as per the required armature voltage. So how we can decide the armature voltage requirement? First, we have to sense the speed. The speed is sensed, and the speed feedback is given to the control unit. And in the inner, always we know that in the inner loop we are doing the current control to avoid the current which is flowing into the armature should be within the limited value. Okay, for this we are using the inner current control loop, and in the outer we are having the speed control loop. So the tacho generator is used, and usually it may be the tacho generator or some other special arrangement can be used, and this will sense the speed and it is given to the control unit. So this will produce the required control pulses for this rectifier, so that the required voltage will be applied to the armature of this DC motor. And generally we are fixing the field by using the single phase rectifier. So this field is maintained at the rated field current. Okay. If you want field side control, we can also vary the firing angle of this single phase rectifier, and we can control the field current also. So it is a general block diagram of the DC motor drive. So in the control rectifier, we are having the single phase converter and the three phase converter. So it is a single phase converter fed DC motor drive. So here we are using the single phase half wave converter. In this half wave converter, we are using only one control device which is going to rectify only one half of the supply voltage, and it is given to the armature. So and there is a freewheeling diode which is used for supplying the armature current. So anyhow, in this method, always we are having a discontinuous operation, so that the torque ripple content will be more. So there is a jerk may be created when we are using this half wave converter. So generally this method is not applicable. It is only for study purpose they are doing. Okay. And the second one is the half controlled asymmetrical converter drive. It is also called as semi converter. But in this converter, both the half cycles are converted into DC, so that we are having there is a possibility of continuous operation. So the torque ripples will be very, very less compared to the half wave converter. But in this case, what is the major problem is it is a single quadrant converter. We can control the motor only one quadrant, that is motoring operation only performed by this thing. Suppose to be if you want to brake that is slow down, brake the motor, it is not possible in this case. The regenerative braking cannot be applied in this case. So we have to apply the mechanical brake. So the power is wasted. So it is also generally we are not using. So the third one is the fully controlled converter drive. Here it is, we know that the full converter can be operated in the first quadrant and the second quadrant. That is two quadrant. So in this we can do the power flow from the motor to supply to motor. So in the normal motoring operation, the power flow will be from the supply to the armature of the motor. In the braking time, the power can be fed back to the supply. Okay. And dual converter, so here two full converter is connected back to back. So that what will happen, the first converter can be operated in two quadrants, for example in the first and second quadrant, and the second converter can be operated in the third and fourth quadrant. Actually first converter is 1 and 4, second converter is 2 and 3. Like this we are using this, so that the motor can be operated in any quadrant. So easily we can do the control. So that is as per our requirement, the vehicle have to move forward and reverse. It also produces the torque in forward direction as well as the reverse direction. So torque is positive or negative, speed is positive or negative, so that we can control the drive in any quadrant. So similarly, we can also use the full controlled converter. That is three-phase full converter for this control of DC motor. So it is a dual converter. So here now we will discuss about what are the general features of this rectifier fed DC motor. It is a conclusion of this converter fed DC motor. Okay, the general features of the first one is explicit ripple in the output voltage. Since we are converting the AC into DC, the AC is the instantaneous voltage is continuously varying from 0 to maximum and come to 0, and every time it is going up. Okay, when we are rectifying this, the output will be varying from 0 to maximum and then come to 0 in positive. Okay, so here there is a fluctuation in the output voltage. Instantaneous voltage is continuously varying. So obviously there is huge ripples are there in the output of this rectifier. So that we need a very costly, that is filters. Filters are required to filter out these components. And when we are designing the filter, here the harmonic components which are coming in the output of this rectifier will be low. So here it is the low order harmonics, so that the size of the filters will be very high. Size of the filters will be very high. As we know that the third order harmonics of the single phase supply, that is single phase rectifier, will be in the frequency of 150 Hz. So 150 Hz the filter design will be, that is the size of the inductor and capacitor will be more. If it is the high frequency, then the size of the filter will be reduced. But we can go with the high power rating from 0.5 kilowatts to 100 kilowatts. Okay. So here another thing, single phase half wave rectifiers. It is a half wave rectifier is only for single quadrant operation, and for small DC motors up to 0.5 kilowatt it is used. So usually it is not used in the automobile sector. Okay, and a single phase asymmetrical converter or the semi converter, it is also a single quadrant converter. It can be used for up to 15 kilowatt. And in single phase fully controlled converter, it is two quadrant operation is possible in this, and the motor power can be up to 15 kilowatt. And compared to half wave controlled converter, it has more input current harmonic distortion and more expensive control circuit, and the power factor, that is the input power factor, will be low, and decreased output voltage mean value for the same firing angle. And a single phase fully controlled dual converter, the four quadrant operation is possible, and a rapid reversal, that is the reversal is very easy, and fastest dynamic response to change in torque or speed commands. So the dynamic response will be very fast, because always it is having mostly continuous current mode. Quickly we can change the direction of flow of current in this, so that the fast dynamic response is possible in this case. And when we are going with the three-phase half-wave controlled converter, only single quadrant operation is possible, and it introduces more harmonics into the line current. Its usage is prohibitive on large power application. And when we are considering the three-phase fully controlled converter, two quadrant operation is possible, and motors up to 140 kilowatt can be used, and three-phase dual fully controlled converter, in this the four quadrant operation is possible, and rapid reversal can be possible. And as we know that in dual converter, the fastest dynamic response to change in torque or speed commands is possible, and it is very easy. Okay, these are things which are involved in controlled rectifier DC motor drives, which are used in the electrical vehicles application. So when we are considering the electrical vehicles application, we are only seeing about the road transport. We are only saying about the road transport. It is not limited to with just road transport. It is also we have to consider into the locomotive applications. Everything we have to consider. That is, in locomotive application, it is easy to have this AC supply, which can be transferred into the motor side that is a vehicle side by using the transformer principle. Okay, so it is mainly used in these cases. Okay. Okay, next we will see the chopper fed DC motor drives. Okay, so when the supply available is a DC, we are going with the chopper fed DC motor drives. So here in this chopper fed DC motor drives, comparatively the number of devices which are used in rectifiers, here it is very less. Okay, so easily by using a single device we can control the DC to variable DC, and depends upon the requirement for a single quadrant or two quadrant or four quadrant operation, the circuit can be modified. Okay, there is a different types of choppers which are available for the operation in all the quadrants, and depends upon the switching characteristics. We can classify these choppers into hard switching and soft switching characteristics. Okay, in hard switching DC drives, that is choppers. In hard switching means we are not calculating or sensing the voltage and current of the devices. Okay, so directly when one device is in on condition, we are turning on another device without confirming that device is turned off. We are turning on the next device. So that what will happen? There is a possibility of short circuit. There is a possibility of short circuit. That is not the matter. But hard switching means when we are turning on another device, it will turn off the previous device. Okay, so there is a possibility of overlap. There is a possibility of overlap. So it will produce some unwanted effect. Okay, that is called as hard switching. But in soft switching, what we are doing, we are sensing the voltage and current of the device. When it goes to zero, that is the voltage and current goes to zero, we are turning on the next device. Okay, so for the outgoing device, outgoing means which is going to turn off. When this voltage across the device is built up and the current is zero, then we are turning on the next device. Okay, so there is no possibility of overlapping. So quickly it can turn on. Okay. That is the thing in soft switching. That is generally we are going with the zero voltage switching and zero current switching in these cases. And another one is called as snubber. So in the snubber circuit, we are having this LNC circuit. That is LNC circuit for protection of this di by dt and dv by dt. So it is also used to reduce the switching losses. So in normal operation, we are having the hard switching. So when the switch is closed, this DC supply will be applied across the armature of the DC motor. So this motor speed can be controlled. Speed can be controlled. And when that is when we are turning off the switch, only this armature current is circulated within this circuit through freewheeling, so that we can have the continuous operation. So it depends upon the turn on and turn off time, we can have the continuous and discontinuous operation. So it is a two quadrant operation. So here we are having two switches along with the diodes. So the switch 1 is on, the current will flow from that is in the forward direction in the armature circuit. So it will provide the forward rotation. When this switch, yes, that is switch 1 is turned off and yes, diode D2 is on, you will have the reverse flow of current. Reverse flow of current. So the torque can be reversed. Torque can be reversed. Okay. So here it is a 4 quadrant operation of the DC chopper fed drives. Okay. So here yes, W1, that is switch 1 and 4 is contributing for forward motoring, and switch 3 and 2 and 3 is contributing for reverse flow of that is reverse rotation. That is anti-clockwise rotation. That is the clockwise direction of rotation at the terminal. And these diodes are used for operating in the freewheeling action, that can be used as the braking operation also. It is possible. That is second quadrant operation and the third quadrant, fourth quadrant operation. Usually 1 and 4 forward direction and this freewheeling action is achieved by turning off this switch 1 and the switch 2 is turned on. So switch 2 and switch 4 is contributing the second quadrant operation, and when the switch 3 is turned on, the current flow is in the opposite direction and the voltage is reversed. So it is the third quadrant operation, and this SW1 and SW3, 1 and 3 is contributing the fourth quadrant operation. And soft switching converters for DC drives. So here it is a 2-quadrant 0 voltage multi-resonant converter. So multi-resonant converter, that is continuously turning on, turning off the switches. For this we are using this inductor, that is LR and CS and C. Okay. So that it will, that is the switches will be turned on and turned off when the voltage becomes 0. Okay. And it is also a 0 voltage transition with a single resonant operation. That is this inductor we are using. It is used for 0 voltage transition from this first switch and this switch, that is which is connected in parallel with the armature. And here it is the 0 current transition converter. Okay. Here when this current through the main chopper is 0, then the second chopper, that is this device, will be turned on. It is a 4-quadrant 0 voltage transition converter for DC motor. So here it is 0 voltage switching, right? And similarly, we can also do the current switching also. That is most of the case we are going with the 0 voltage switching, which is the cheaper. So here it is the 4-quadrant 0 current transition converter for DC motor. The main advantage of using this soft switching method in this DC choppers are the power loss, that is the switching power loss is reduced. That is the major thing which is involved in this. The normal hard switching, what is happening, the switching loss will be very high. For example, that is in the chopper operation, we are operating the chopper in high frequency. For example, 1000 hertz we are having. So what will happen, the 1000 turns we are turning on and turning off the switch. Even a small power loss in this turning on and turning off, it will be multiplied by 1000. It will be multiplied by 1000. So imagine the power loss will be higher. But when we are going with the 0 current or 0 voltage switching, this power loss is limited, that is reduced, so that power can be saved. Already in electrical vehicles, we are going to carry the power in the battery. So if there is a power loss, how much power loss we are able to reduce, that is going to decide the mileage of the vehicle. Okay, mileage of the vehicle. That is how long we can drive the vehicle. So even a small power is saved by using this switching method. It is going to increase the, that is total running period will be increased. Okay, so that it is very much important to implement the soft switching method in this converters. Even it is not only in the DC motor, that is a DC chopper, even if we are using any type of power converters, it is very much important to implement the soft switching methods in this converters. Okay. Because the power which can be carried by the battery is limited. It is limited. So if you are able to save power, the mileage of the vehicle will be considerably increased. So this comparison of this, that is the main characteristics of the chopper fed DC drives. Okay. Here the main general features are reduced ripple content compared to the rectifiers, and regeneration operation is easily possible, and high frequency operation. So when the frequency is increased, the ripple content frequency is also increased. So easily we can filter out. And high response speed. The response will be high in this DC motor. and high order harmonics are present, so easily we can filter out, and suffer from excessive voltage and current stress. Because we are using a very less number of devices, automatically the voltage and current stress will be more. So that what is the impact of this excessive voltage and the current stress? It will increase in the cooling arrangement. That is the heat sink arrangement, that is heat sink space should be increased, so the size is increasing, automatically it leads to increase of weight. So we have to minimize the weight of the vehicle, okay, so that it is also going to that is contribute the mileage of the vehicle. And here the power also, the power range is from 0.5 kilowatt to hundreds of kilowatts. And hot switching, in this hot switching, the high switching stress and losses. And typical switching frequency is between 20 kilohertz to 50 kilohertz. So imagine when there is a high switching frequency, the power loss is also very high in hot switching, and considerable transient effects in the converter. And in this, we are having different methods. That is single switch chopper. The only single quadrant operation is possible, but it is very simple circuit. And in two quadrant chopper, two quadrant operation is possible, and the number of switches are increased in this case, and medium complexity and control circuit. And H bridge or four quadrant chopper, the four quadrant operation is possible. The number of switches are increased, and medium complexity of control circuit, and current continuity around the zero current output, and a multi-level output can be possible. Bipolar output voltage increment to ripple current value, faster reversal with minimum crossover distortion. These are the advantages. And when we are considering the soft switching converters, the usage of LC resonance circuit is required, and it increases the number of switches. It increases the number of switches, and it contains very low ripple content in the output. And soft switching converters in this high switching frequency above 100 kilohertz. So here imagine the frequency, switching frequency is very much increased. Low EMI in this case, and very high efficiency. And since the losses are reduced in this case, the efficiency of the converter is very high, so that the overall system efficiency is improved. And complex control circuit, because here we are using more number of switching devices, the control circuit is also complex. In this two quadrant ZVM or converter, in this two quadrant operation is possible, and quite low switching losses, and it provides low load variation and full range of voltage conversion. In two quadrant zero voltage transition converter, two quadrant operation is possible, and unity device current and voltage source. And here we are doing the zero voltage switching. In two quadrant zero current transition converter, two quadrant operation is possible, and in this we are implementing zero current switching, and here minimum current and voltage source. That is, the voltage and current source is very less in this case, and switching frequency in this range of 50 kilohertz. For medium power DC motor application in the range of few kilowatts, we can use this zero current transition method. And zero voltage transition method with four quadrant operation, unity current and voltage source, and zero voltage switching, and it has the high power density. High power density. That is, unity current and voltage source means what is the required voltage and current of the motor. The same voltage and current is applied across the devices and through the devices. Okay, that is the unity current. And four quadrant zero current transition converter. In this, four quadrant operation is possible, and same characteristics as two quadrant zero current transmission, and power up to 5 kilowatt we can. And the major control methods which are used for this type of DC drives, our main control objective is closed loop stability. The stability of system should be high and adequate for performance, and then adequate robustness. As we are using the DC motor, automatically this is always high, and high performance motor drive system must have fast speed transient response and fast load transient response and high efficiency and effective control method and high reliability. So these are the requirements of this vehicles. Okay, and when we are using the classical PID controller, that is the traditional controllers which we can use in this. So it requires some modeling of individual parts of the system, and it recommend of a relatively accurate model, because if we are not properly model the system, there is a problem in making the stability of the system, and the response will be also reduced. Okay, and the response and stability control applying Nyquist criteria of bodied diagrams we are doing, and well-known procedure, because it is a traditional and classical method. Already we are familiar with this. It, and PID calculation and optimization can be used by using the Ziegler-Nichols method, or this any one of the method we can use. But even though there are a lot of drawbacks in this PID controller, we are going with the sophisticated high-end control methods using the fuzzy and neural networks. So that we are going with the intelligent controller. So we can apply fuzzy logic controller or artificial neural network controllers in this. So in fuzzy logic controller, it implements an if-then programming form for various working conditions to control the motor speed. So properly we have to check the conditions, assign the conditions. And it is having a high precision modeling. In this high precision modeling is not required, and systematic way to take under consideration model intentional or and unintentional uncertainty. Inherent approximation capability is there in using fuzzy logic, and high degree of tolerance in this case, and it provides smooth operation, and it is having a learning ability. And in this ANN method, it have got a basic idea to identify the mathematical model of the system's model. And the adaptive control technique is applied in using ANN. All the ANN signals are transmitted in one direction, the same as in automatically controlled system. The ability of ANN to learn the and a minimum overshoot of the speed output and good speed response for constant load torque with finally can reject notice perturbation. Simplified versions of independent control of flux and torque using cascade structures are possible. So these are the major things which are given in this paper. So these are the major things. It is a very latest paper which is published in 2020. So which is dealing with the DC motors which are applicable for this electrical vehicles. Okay. And here it is a comparison for converters used in DC motor drive. So here you can see this when we are dealing with the converters, that is rectifiers. Here that is all the quadrant operation is possible in this rectifier also, and the power level can be, that is it is from low, medium to high. That is when we are using the three phase, then there is a possibility of high power application. But when we are considering these choppers, these choppers can be applied up to medium range only, medium range, and the efficiency will be medium to high in case of rectifiers. But in case of this zero voltage and zero current switching converters, that is these choppers, the efficiency will be very high. So when we are considering the efficiency, we can choose with this DC-DC chopper with zero voltage and zero current switching. And the switching frequency in case of rectifiers, it is depends upon the supply also, so that the frequency will be low. But in case of DC choppers, here the frequency can be made very high, so we can easily reduce the ripple current. So here if you see this ripple current, in case of rectifiers it is always high, but in case of DC chopper it is low or very low. When we are going with zero current and zero voltage switching, it is very low. And the transient response of the rectifier is very high. Okay, because it has very high means it takes more time. Okay, that is very slow in terms of speed. The transient response is very slow in converters. But in DC choppers, it is very fast. And complexity of the circuit, control circuit, and the design of the circuit is very low in case of rectifiers. And in case of zero voltage and current switching, DC chopper it is very high. Okay, these are things which are the points I want to convey to you about DC motors, which can be applicable for electrical vehicles applications. Okay. So now we can move with the AC drives and special machines. So in the AC drives, the main motor is induction motor drive. That is the most of the applications we are using induction motor drives. In this electrical vehicle applications also, we are using the induction motor drives because it is having a lot of advantages compared with the DC motors and other motors also. Yeah, it is even for example, the advanced motors, switched reluctance motors, BLDC motors, and IPM motors are there, but it requires the complex control circuit. But in case of induction motor, we can use the very simple control circuit for this induction motor drives. Okay. So here, it is basically the relation between the speed torque relation is given in this. So the torque equation of the induction motor is given here. That is P E is equal to 3P by 2. That is P is number of poles. Okay. So R by omega, that is the speed of the rotor circuit, and Vs square, that is the supply stator voltage square, divided by the resistance, sum of the resistance square plus speed square into sum of the inductance square. Okay. So this is the torque speed equation. That is a torque equation. So the speed is in the denominator. When it is coming to the left hand side, we know that the speed is proportional to Vs. Vs is nothing but stator voltage. So it is proportional to the stator voltage. And Rr is the rotor resistance. So the speed is proportional to the rotor resistance. So it is clear that the speed of the induction motor can be controlled either from the stator side or from the rotor side. So in the rotor, stator parameters are the stator voltage and the stator frequency. So by varying the stator voltage, we can vary the speed of the induction motor, and by varying the stator frequencies, we can also vary the speed. So already we know that Ns equal to 120F by P. So by varying the frequency, the speed can be varied. Okay, already we know that. So here it is, and the rotor resistance, by varying the rotor resistance, the speed can be changed. Okay. So now we will see the control methods from stator side and the rotor side. So here it is the stator voltage control. So the stator voltage control can be applied by using if the supply voltage, available supply voltage is AC, we can use the AC voltage controller. In electric vehicles, mostly we are having the DC. So we can use the inverters. We can use the inverter circuit to vary the AC supply which is applied to the induction motor. So by varying the voltage, that is PW inverter, we can use to vary the voltage of this inverter. So the output voltage of the inverter is varied so that the stator voltage is varied. So initially, for example, V1 is the rated voltage. So the topmost curve is the speed torque curve when we are using the output voltage V1. Suppose if we are reducing the voltage, the curve, the speed torque curve is coming down, and for the third reduced voltage, it is further coming down. So in this, by varying the voltage, we can understand that the maximum torque which is produced by this induction motor for variable stator voltage is continuously changing. The maximum torque produced by the motor is not constant, but it happens at the generally in normal speed. That is in the same speed it is happening. So here, when you want to run the motor, run the electric vehicle at particular speed, here you can see, for you want to run the motor at N1 speed, here the voltage V1 is applied. It is a low torque curve. These three are the dotted line is the load torque curve. These three solid line torque speed curve is the motor grouping speed torque curve. So here, when you want to run the motor vehicle at N1, you have to apply the voltage V1. For this, you have to control the inverter or AC voltage control in case of AC supply. Supposed to be, if you reduce the speed to N2 from N1, the voltage should be reduced from V1 to V2, so that now the vehicle will run at the speed of N2. And still you want to reduce the speed of the vehicle to N3, you have to reduce the voltage to V3. So by using this curves, we can operate the motor, okay, at any speed. So in this stator voltage control, here only one quadrant operation is possible. This single quadrant operation is possible here. Another thing, stator frequency control. Here you can see this. We know that stator frequency, it is related to the speed, that is 120 F by P. So here, when we are giving the rated frequency of base frequency, the third curve is the base frequency, speed torque curve. And if you are reducing the frequency, what is happening? The curve is moving to the left-hand side. Because when, for example, the frequency F3 is 50 Hertz, when it is 50 Hertz, the speed will be, for example, 4-pole machine, the speed will be, rated speed will be, that is 120 F by P, 120 into F is 50. So it is the 4-pole machine we are taking. So this rated speed, now it is 1500. Okay, this third one is the 1300 omega 3 in terms of RPM. And suppose the frequency is reduced to 40 Hertz. What will happen? Here 120 into 40 divided by 4, number of poles. So it is 1200. Okay. So here it is 1000. The F2, this omega 2 is 1200. Further, if you are reducing 30 means it is still reduced to 900 RPM. Suppose if you are increasing the frequency 50 to 60, what will happen? The speed will be increased. So 120 into 60 divided by 4. So here now the speed will be 1800. Now the speed will be 1800. So here it is increasing. So in this, when we are controlling the frequency less than the rated frequency, from the minimum frequency to the rated frequency, that is base frequency, the speed is increased from rated speed and it maintains the maximum torque. It maintains the maximum torque. It is constant. In this, there is no change. Here you can see this. In this, there is no change. But when we are increasing the frequency beyond the base frequency, what is happening? The torque developed by the motor is reduced. Torque developed by the motor is reduced. So here you can see this. Here this is frequency. Here it is the frequency. So the torque is increasing when the frequency is, there is a decreasing when this frequency is increased above the rated frequency. Okay. And generally we are going with this V by F control. V by F control in automobile sector. That is electric vehicles, we are using the V by F control. So in this method, what is happening? They are combining the stator voltage control method and the stator frequency control. Why we are going with this V by F control? What is the need for this? That is, when we are doing the voltage control method, when we are continuously increasing the voltage, after certain voltage, the motor magnetic field will get saturated. And similarly, when you are continuously changing the frequency, the magnetic field is also get saturated. It will get saturated. Okay. So it is a major problem in this. So what is happening here? We are maintaining the flux as constant. We are maintaining the flux as constant, and we are using the ratio V by F as the constant. Okay. So that is E is equal to 4.44 phi F, like this. There is a expression comes. So phi is proportional to V by F. If you are maintaining flux as constant, if you are increasing the voltage, you have to increase the frequency also, so that this ratio can be maintained constant. It can be maintained constant. So how much voltage you can increase? You can increase the voltage up to the rated voltage only you can increase. Above the rated voltage, you cannot increase the voltage. Okay. If you are increasing the voltage above the rated voltage, the winding cannot withstand that. So the voltage variation can be done from 0 to the rated voltage. But the frequency can be varied above this also. Above this also. So when we are going above this rated voltage, we are keeping the voltage as constant at the rated voltage, and above that only the frequency is varied. So here you can see this, the constant torque region. Here we are varying the voltage as well as the frequency. Voltage as well as the frequency, so that the torque is maintained constant. That is the maximum torque you can see. It is maintained constant. Okay. And here you can see this, the frequency is per unit, it is 1, or it is a rated frequency. And after this, the frequency only varied. Here the voltage is maintained constant. Voltage is maintained constant, only the frequency is varied. So when the frequency is varied, increased above this value, automatically the torque is reduced. So as per the previous thing. So here you can see this, the torque is reduced. Okay. So the torque is reduced. So here, but the power is maintained constant. But the power is maintained constant. Okay. So it is called as constant power region. And after this value, it is called as T omega square is constant. So it is T is constant, it is T omega is constant, that is constant power operation. Here it is the DC motor operation. So here you can see this, the voltage, the first curve, it is the voltage. So in this V by F control, up to rated frequency, the frequency as well as the voltage is varied. Sorry. When it reaches the rated voltage, then the voltage is maintained constant, but the frequency is continuously varied. So here what is happening, when V by F, that is voltage as well as frequency, both are varied, the flux is maintained constant. Here you can see this adder 6, flux is maintained constant. Okay. When the voltage is maintained at constant value and only the frequency is varied, the flux is reduced. We know that flux is proportional to V by F. So when frequency is increased, the flux is reduced. When the flux is reduced, automatically the torque is going to reduce, right? The flux is proportional to the torque. So the flux is reduced here, torque is also reduced. And here the torque, that is the stator current is maintained constant up to this constant power mode. Because here up to this point, it is the constant torque mode, and from this to this point, it is a constant power mode. Constant power mode is V and IS is maintained constant, only the frequency is varied, right? So here you can see this, it is the closed loop control of this induction motor. So here this method can be used for voltage control alone, stator voltage control alone, or stator frequency control alone, or we can apply V by F control, right? For these three methods, this block diagram can be applicable. For example, voltage control method. For example, voltage control method, here we are taking only this voltage feedback, and here the voltage required, the voltage, that is the actual voltage, is sensed from the stator terminal, and the speed is sensed, and from the speed error, the required voltage is calculated, and this required voltage and the actual voltage will be compared, and this voltage controller will generate the control signal for this PWM inverter from the voltage error, so that the voltage of the output voltage of the inverter can be controlled and the induction motor stator voltage is controlled. It is a stator voltage control method. Suppose if you want to implement only the frequency control method, here this speed is sensed and the speed, actual speed and the required speed will be compared, and it will generate the speed error, and it from this speed error the required frequency is calculated, and this frequency will be given as the input for this PWM inverter. So based on the frequency, the PWM inverter will be operated. So here the modulation index will be maintained constant and the frequency will be changed. So when the modulation index is varied, the output voltage will be varied, right? So when we want to implement V by F control, here this speed sensor is taken, that is speed is sensed and this actual speed is compared with the required speed. From this the required frequency is generated. So here only we know the required frequency and the required voltage, because it is a V by F control. Required voltage we have to calculate. To calculate the required voltage, we know flux is constant. We know that V by F is flux. It is constant. So already we calculated frequency. From this constant flux into the required frequency will give the required voltage. So required voltage is calculated through this flux control unit, and it is giving the required voltage. So already the actual voltage is sensed and given to this comparator. It will generate the voltage error. And here we already decided the required frequency that is given to the PWM inverter. And this required voltage for this, the modulation index is developed and it is given to the PWM inverter. So now this PWM inverter will operate in the required modulation index and the frequency, so that the voltage and frequency is varied. That is implementation of V by F control. So it can also be implemented using the current source inverter. In this we are using the voltage source inverter. It can be also implemented using a current source inverter. So when we want to current source inverter, then we need the high torque application. That is like truck, buses. There maybe we can use the current source. So from the rotor side, we can implement the rotor resistance control, and then that is a energy efficient method called as slip power recovery methods can be implemented from the rotor side. The basic method is the rotor resistance control. It can be applicable only for slip ring induction motor. In the normal cage induction motor, we cannot apply this rotor resistance control. So here you can see this. When we are increasing the rotor resistance, what is happening? This characteristic is moving down. This moving down. But here you can see this, the synchronous speed is not changed. Synchronous, because the frequency is maintained constant, the synchronous speed is maintained as it is. And the starting torque is also varied, depends upon the rotor resistance. So depends upon the requirement of this starting resistance, the starting torque, we can vary the rotor resistance. Okay. So it is the implementation of rotor resistance control method. So here in the wound rotor machine, the rotor terminals are taken out. It is connected with the bridge rectifier. So it will convert this AC, rotor AC into DC. That is, it is in the rotor frequency S into Fs, and it is rectified into DC. This DC link is connected with the DC chopper and an external resistance. This connection of this external resistance can be controlled by using this chopper. So when the chopper is on, this resistance is excluded from the signal. When the chopper is in off condition, this resistance is included in the rotor circuit. So how long we are including and excluding the rotor resistance, we can vary the overall total rotor resistance. Okay, by varying the duty cycle, we can vary this, so that we can move the characteristics like this. and slip power recovery. In this, we are having two methods. One is static Kramer drive and static shear based. That is, we are not discussing any conventional method. Directly, we are moving into the solid state method. Generally, here is used in the high power machines for recovering the wastage of power as a slip power, right? So, if we are implementing the slip power recovery scheme in electrical vehicles, we can increase the mileage of the vehicle, okay, when we are using the AC motor. But here we need to use the full cage, that is a wound rotor induction motor. So here the power taken from the water circuit is rectified and inverted back to the supply frequency, and through a transformer, step-up transformer, it is fed back to the supply. So here there is a power flow is from the water circuit to this supply. So the wastage of power can be rectified and it can be given to the supply. If, for example, if in case of induction motor we are using from the battery, here only inverter is giving the supply to the stator side. So here the rotor output is AC at low frequency. It is rectified and this DC link can be used to charge the battery, so that it is easy to recover the slip power when we are using the induction. And in case of CMBS drive, there is a power flow in either direction. So the rotor power can be taken out, slip power is taken out and it can be fed back to the supply, or you can additionally feed the power into the rotor circuit also. When we are additionally feeding the power into the rotor circuit, this induction motor will be acting as the doubly fed induction motor, so that the speed can be increased beyond the synchronous speed. So the motor can be operated in subsynchronous as well as supersynchronous speeds. The sophisticated method, the advanced method is the vector control method. In this, basically the vector control method, what they are doing is they are converting this three-phase supply quantities, that is three-phase voltage or current, into a vector, single vector. That is VA, VB, VC, or we are having the resultant vector. We are finding the resultant vector of this quantity, and by controlling this resultant vector, depends upon our requirement, we can, that is the response will be good. Okay, so that here we are taking the vector and this vector is controlled as per our requirement. That is the thing. To find this resultant vector, first we have to convert these three-phase quantities into two-phase quantities, and this we are having D and Q coordinates. Okay, so the direct axis and quadratic axis components we are having. Based on this, we are having the vectors, and this vector can be controlled. So here you can see this direct vector control. Here from the motor we are sensing the speed, and the voltage and currents are sensed, and it is given to the estimator. Okay, this will find the unit vector, that is for doing the vector rotation, and based on the required speed and flux, it will give the gain to this vector rotation unit. Okay, so it is deciding the what is the required D axis and Q axis component, direct axis stator current and quadrature axis stator current requirement, that is given. So it is given to this vector rotation unit, and it will give what is the stator direct axis component and what is the quadrature axis stator current component. So it is given to this two-phase to three-phase converter. That is usually it is called as inverse Planck transformation. So by doing this two-phase quantities are converted into three-phase quantities, so that we know what is the required IA, IB, and IC. So based on this inverter can be operated. So we know that we are having in normal two-level inverter. Generally, there is 8 states of the. So by varying the states, we can implement this vector control. Here it is the indirect vector control. So in this, we are not sensing the voltage vector, only the current is sensed, and based on this current, we are finding all the things, and based on this, it is controlled. So which type of inverter we are using? Based on this, we are having a difference between the characteristics. That is, in case of square wave inverter, we can go with the high torque and high power. Okay. So here you can see this in PWM mode, this power is reduced and the torque produced is also reduced. But in case of square wave mode, we are having this much. Okay. Because in square wave mode, the number of switchings within a cycle is less. But in case of PWM, within a cycle, we are having more number of switchings. So that what is happening, due to this switching, there is a loss in the torque. Okay. Due to switching in a inverter power loss, so that the power applied to the motor is reduced, so that the torque and speed will be reduced. That is the case. And another advanced control method is the direct torque method, torque control method. In this, directly we are controlling the torque and flux of the induction motor. It is similar to the vector control method, but here we are having 8 vectors. That is 2 zero vectors and 6 active vectors. By activating this vector, by applying these vectors, directly we can control the flux and torque as per our requirement. So here we are having the switching table, which is giving the increase and decreasing the torque. So here you can see this, the first column is the flux control and second column is the torque control. Here 1 means to increase the flux, -1 is to decrease the flux. And similarly in the second column, 1 means it is to increase the torque and 0 means there is no change in the torque, and -1 is to reduce the torque. Okay, so here the entire operation of this induction motor, that is one cycle of the operation of the induction motor, is split into 6 sectors with the interval of 60 degrees. It may be taken from 0 to 60, 60 to 120, 120 to 180, and 180 to 270, 270 to 300, 300 to 360. Like this, we can split the sectors. Okay, so if the voltage vector is in S1, voltage vector is in S1. Now you want to increase the flux as well as the torque. Now you have to apply the voltage vector V2. Voltage vector V2, for this we are having the switching state V2, right? We have to turn on the corresponding switches. If there is no change in the torque, only I have to increase the flux, you have to apply the 0 voltage vector, that is V0. Suppose I want to reduce the torque, but I want to reduce the torque, but I have to increase the flux. Here, flux is increasing and torque is reducing, then we have to apply the voltage vector V6. And similarly, for example, I want to reduce the flux and increase the torque, I have to apply V3. Suppose the same case in sector V2, then I have to apply V4. So like this, we have to apply this. Directly we can control the flux as well as torque. This direct torque control method, it is also called as direct torque as well as flux control. Direct flux and torque control method. Next, we will move to the synchronous motor drive. Synchronous motor drive. So here, most of the things which are used in the induction motor can be applicable for synchronous motor drive. Okay. So here it is the V/F control. This the basic method. And in this method, you can see the characteristics are similar to the induction motor. So vector control is also applicable for this synchronous motor. So here it is a BLDC motor. Next one is the BLDC motor. In this BLDC motor, here we are using the inverter. Here we are using the inverter. So each phase of the BLDC motor is connected with these switches. These switches. So here, by turning on the switch, this current will be flow through this corresponding winding. So the corresponding winding will be get energized. For example, phase A. is energized by turning on the switch Q1. So the current will flow through this switch Q1 and it will flow through phase A in this direction. Now it is in this direction. There is a towards neutral. So now it will produce a magnetic field, right? So similarly, in the remaining phases, the remaining other switches may be turned on. So that also going to generate the energizer. Okay. Now it is excited. There is a magnetic field will be interacted with the rotor magnetic field. So based on this interaction of the rotor magnetic field, the rotor starts rotating. Okay, it is the basic principle here. So how we are turning on and turning off the switch, the corresponding windings will be energized. Okay, so usually the trapezoidal excitation will be done in this case. For the duration of 120 degree, the excitation is maintained constant, and in first 30 degree and the last 30 degree, okay, it is increasing or decreasing. So that continuously it is rotated. Continuously it is rotated. So the energization of this windings can be easily varied based on the position of this. So it requires the position controller or optical position sensor. So nowadays we are using this BLDC motors in most of the light vehicles, and here it requires always the Hall effect position sensors. Okay. That is the major thing here. And switched reluctance motor. So similarly here the windings are excited by using the power converter based on the requirement of the position controller. We are continuously changing the switching of these switches, right? So here we are having different types of switching methods to vary the switching, that is rotations. So far we discussed some of the control methods of the DC motor and induction motor in detail, and simple methods for BLDC motor and switched reluctance motor. Now we are going to compare these motors which are applied in electrical vehicles. Okay, when we are using these things in the electrical vehicles, we are going to compare this. So for this comparison of electrical motors for electrical vehicles, we are taking some parameters. So majorly we are taking this 5 parameters. The first one is the power to weight ratio, and second one is the torque speed characteristics, third one is the efficiency, and fourth one is the cost of the controller, and fifth one is the cost of motor. Okay. So the power to weight ratio, that is how much power that motor can deliver for its weight. Okay, so in electrical vehicle application, the power to weight ratio should be very high. For small weight, the motor have to deliver high power. That is the preferable one, right? So the power to weight ratio should be high. That motor is very much suitable for electrical vehicle application. As torque speed characteristics, already we know the requirement of the electrical vehicles. Usually the electrical vehicles require during this constant torque operation, and after that constant power operation, that is required. So which motor can be operated in constant torque and constant power mode, that can be easily used in this electrical vehicle application. And the efficiency, in some motors we are having more losses, so which motor is having less loss, which is having high efficiency, that can be suitable for electrical vehicle application. And the cost is the major role of the electrical vehicle, so that it is playing the important role in the selection of the motor. So which controller is very simple for the motor, then that electrical motor can be used in the electrical vehicle. And the cost of the motor. So obviously the cost of the motor is very much important. So which is having a very low cost that can be easily used in this electrical vehicles. But all these things are within the trade-off. If we need the high performance, we should not think about the cost. So like this, we have to use the trade-off. So first we will take the power to weight ratio. So the ratio between the peak power output of the motor in kilowatt to weight of the motor in kg. That is the power to weight ratio. The unit of power to weight ratio of the motor is kilowatt per kg. The motor with high power to weight ratio is more suitable for EV application. Different types of electrical motors with same power, voltage and speed rating are compared in this. So here you can see the comparison. The power to weight ratio, it is in the 5-point scale we are comparing this. So here you can see this, the brushed DC motor. Brushed DC motors are having only 2.5 because that weight, obviously when we are using the commutator and brushes, the weight of the motor will be high compared with all other motors. So that here the power to weight ratio is very less in brushed DC motor. But in case of brushless DC motor, the power to weight ratio is very less. That is power to weight ratio is very high because it is the total weight of the machine is very less compared with the other thing. So BLDC motor is having the high power to weight ratio. So the total power of the machine is very low. The total weight of the machine is very low, so that it can be easily used in the lightweight vehicles. For example, cycles, electric cycles or electric scooters or electric three-wheelers like this. The small vehicles, they are preferring BLDC motor. And the induction motor, it is above 3 power to weight ratio compared with the other things. So it is the nominal range. It is in the nominal range, the induction motor, synchronous motor, SR motor, because mostly these three motors are similar in the construction. So here there is a small change in the synchronous motor. Okay. And the next parameter we are taking the torque speed characteristics. The performance and suitability of an electric motor for a particular application can be decided by its torque speed characteristics. Because when we are choosing the motor, we are taking the load characteristics and we are matching this load characteristics with the speed characteristics of the motor. So when both are very much suitable, that type of motor will be chosen. Okay. So the torque speed characteristics are also called as mechanical characteristics. The ideal mechanical characteristics of an electrical motor for electric vehicle applications are shown in figure here. So here it is the ideal torque speed characteristics for electrical vehicles. So here you can see this constant torque region and constant power region. Okay. So which motor is delivering this constant torque and constant power, that is very much suitable for electrical vehicle application. When electrical vehicle is used where frequent starting and stopping is required. Motor is operated in constant torque region while at high speed, and it is operated in the constant power region. So here these are the characteristics of the DC motors and the AC motor. So we know that it is a DC motor, series motor characteristics. It is having a dropping characteristics and constant speed characteristics, that is the shunt motor is delivering, and you are having the induction motor characteristics like this and the SR motor. So simply by seeing the characteristics, the SR motor characteristics is very much suitable for electrical vehicle application. But anyhow, by using the power electronic converters, we can operate the motors at any operating point as per our requirement. So that we can choose any motor and we can make the motors to operate in any operating point by using the power converters. Next important thing is the efficiency. The motor converts electrical energy into mechanical energy. Coal input electrical energy is not converted into mechanical energy but is lost due to various factors. Electrical efficiency of an electrical motor gives relation between electrical input and the useful mechanical output of the motor. All electrical motors are designed to operate at maximum efficiency at rated output of motor. When an electric motor is used in an electrical vehicle, motor will be operated at different loads. So when the load is varying, the efficiency is also going to vary. Therefore, peak efficiency and different loads of the motor must be considered before choosing it for an electrical vehicle application. So here the efficiency of different electric motors at peak load are compared. So here you can see this DC brushed motor is having the efficiency from 85 to 90. So it is a very low efficiency, but the cost compared it is very low. And DC brushless motor, it is having more than 95%. And AC induction motor is also having more than 90%. And synchronous motor is greater than 92%. And switching reluctance motor is less than 95%. Okay. But when it is operating in different more loads, the synchronous reluctance motor is giving more efficiency. At no, that is a low load condition, there is a constant loss will be there, so that the efficiency will be reduced. But anyhow, the induction motor, synchronous motor, switching reluctance motors, and BLDC motors are providing high efficiency compared with brushed DC motor. The motor, next one is the cost of the controller. The motor controllers are an important part of the drive system of the electric vehicles. The motor controller in electrical vehicles offers improved performance, efficiency, and controllability. If an electrical vehicle manufacturer wants to build a low-cost electric vehicle, then choosing a low-cost controller would eventually affect the choice of the motor. For low-voltage electric motor widely used in electric vehicle, cost of the controller of different electric motors with same voltage and output ratings are compared in this. So here you can see this. At the 5-point scale, the cost of the controller is high in case of BLDC motor, because always it is used with the electronic commutator. It is having a complex control circuit. But in case of DC brushed motor, even the conventional control method can be applicable, so the cost can be very much minimized. And in induction motor and the synchronous motor, SRM motor, the induction motor is having the various conventional control methods, so that the cost will be reduced. But in case of synchronous motor and SRM motor, unless we are going with the sophisticated control methods, so it requires more cost. One of the important challenges ahead of electrical vehicle manufacturer is to provide consumer with an electrical vehicle which is as good as gasoline vehicle, but within an affordable price. The cost of different motors with same voltage and output power rating are compared in this. Here the cost of the motor, the BLDC motor, here you can see this, it is very high. Nowadays it is gradually reducing, but anyhow comparing with other motors, the cost is high. And brushed DC motors, due to the arrangements, the construction, the DC motors cost is high, but the induction motor, it is not having any brushes and commutators, so that automatically the cost of the induction motor and synchronous and including this commutator arrangement, that is electronic commutator arrangement in SR motors, the cost is somewhat higher than the induction motor. So finally we will come to the conclusion that DC brushed motors are easy to control and provide torque at low speeds, but have high maintenance cost, large size, low efficiency. BLDC motor has higher power to weight ratio, but its maintenance cost and cost of the controller is high. Three-phase induction motor provides efficiency more than 90% at peak load. The three-phase induction motor and BLDC motors are two most widely motors used by electrical vehicle manufacturers. Synchronous motor has high efficiency at low speeds and improves battery utilization and driving range. The synchronous motor is preferred where constant torque is required. The switched reluctance motor provides a great alternative to induction motor and BLDC motor with low cost of motor and controller, high efficiency at peak load, reliability and fault tolerance capability. Okay. So I think I have delivered some idea related to motors which are applicable for electrical vehicles. I thank all of you for participating in this STTP, and I thank our management, our department, and coordinators for providing me this opportunity for delivering this lecture to you. I thanks one and all. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. I hope
Thank you.
the
Thank you, sir.
thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. I hope the session is more informative and mind-opening to our participants. Thank you, sir. The session give more informative about the electrical vehicle drives and helpful for the research on that field. Thank you, sir. Participants, find the feedback form posted in the chat box, and it is mandatory for the attendance and e-certificate too. Thank you all. Let me join in the next session tomorrow at 10 a.m. Will you wait for the feedback form?